Bill Maher called out CNN's Kaitlan Collins on the network's bias. Let's watch.
You made press because you were on Stephen Colbert's show, and he said something like, you guys at CNN just report the news straight. And the crowd burst into laughter.
CNN is the place where both sides can watch. And
I'm talking about the people on CNN. And what I know what the conservative side of America thinks, and I don't blame them. They were just gushing about how great a speech it was. And I think she did fine. I didn't think it was as good as they were making it out to be. It does look like tokenism. It's kind of like the same as The View. In a way, I feel like it's more insulting than what Trump does. And Trump says you're the enemy of the people, which is pretty bad. What she's kind of saying is, I don't need you. I'm not talking to you. You don't matter. You're not relevant anymore. To me, that's even worse than I hate you. It's like, I don't think about you.
I don't know if it's worse than denigrating the press on a daily basis, which is what Donald Trump.
Bill Maher calls out CNN's Kaitlan Collins. Again, last time we showed you Bill Maher putting CNN's Kaitlan Collins on blast for her takedown of Caroline Leavitt. You'd think that would be enough for her to ease up, but nope. Instead, Collins is doubling down, going after Leavitt, Trump, and even Elon Musk with even more aggressive takes. Well, Bill wasn't about to let that slide. This time his response was even sharper. Pure fireworks. And lucky for you, we've got all. The receipts, let's dive in.
Would you continue to give Ukraine money and weapons if you're elected? What's the answer?
If I'm president, I will have that war settled in one day, 24 hours. It'll be absolutely
over. Do you
over.
want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people.
Can I just follow up on that, because that's a really important
statement
let me
that
just
you just
made
follow
there. Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying. Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to stop dying.
Before we get to Maher's takedown, here's why he's speaking out. We'll get to Bill Maher's latest takedown in just a moment. But first, why does a guy who voted for Biden suddenly sound like he's siding with Republicans? The answer? Woke journalists have been setting traps for Trump long before the election, and leading the charge is none other than CNN's Kaitlan Collins. In the clip we just watched, Collins wasn't asking questions. She was hunting for a gotcha moment, a setup designed to make Trump look unfit for office. If he said he wanted Ukraine to win, he'd be blamed for pushing the world toward war. If he leaned toward Russia, he'd be painted as a traitor, a lose-lose scenario. But Trump knows this game too well. He sidestepped the trap, keeping his answer neutral, no more lives lost, Ukrainian or Russian. A strategic move. And if there's one thing the woke media can't stand, it's losing control of the narrative. So what did they do? They doubled down.
You held on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then had given you a subpoena to return them.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's the answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to, you're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
As Trump shuts down. Kaitlan Collins, mid-interview. Looks like Trump wasn't here for Kaitlan Collins's antics, so he shut her down on the spot. And honestly, he had every reason to. Instead of asking a direct question, Collins went on a rambling monologue, layering in commentary and burning time, almost like she was filibustering her own interview. A classic CNN move, but it was obvious what she was doing. This wasn't about getting real answers. Her entire strategy was to trap Trump with a convoluted, no-win question, one designed to trip him up, make him stumble, or better yet, hand the media a viral soundbite they could spin for days. But Trump? He saw it coming from a mile away. Like a seasoned fighter, he dodged, deflected, and then struck back with a brutal counterpunch. One moment, Collins thought she had him cornered. The next, she was the one scrambling. And this wasn't the first time she tried this. But as always, Trump flipped the script right in her face. And instead of backing off, Collins went for round two, this time setting her sights on Donald Trump Jr.
That environment wasn't just created by Donald Trump.
Okay, but can I say, you can't blame, and everyone wants your dad to be safe. No one wants the threats against his life to happen, but you can't blame the media for those threats. There's been no evidence that's what drove those.
And allows people to have a platform to call someone literally Hitler every day for 9 years, it creates it. Okay. Whether you want to believe it or not, that's a fact.
But as you know, J.D. Vance once likened your dad to Hitler as well. He questioned if he was America's...
Trump Jr. fires back after assassination attempt, and Bill Maher sees the hypocrisy. This fiery exchange came on the heels of the shocking assassination attempt on Donald Trump. And Trump Jr., he didn't hold back. He squarely blamed the media, accusing them of fueling the attack by relentlessly comparing his father to Hitler. And honestly, he's got a point. For nearly a decade, the media has painted Trump as America's Hitler, a so-called dictator out to destroy the country. They've mocked him, vilified him, and turned him into a monster. And then there was that smug moment when Kaitlan Collins tried to flip the script, pointing out that J.D. Vance once called Trump Hitler. But let's be real. Vance didn't have the media's influence, power, or massive reach. His words never carried the same weight. Plus, like many, he initially bought into the anti-Trump narrative until he actually got to know Trump and realized the reality didn't match the media's spin. So is it any surprise Bill Maher went off? He sees the hypocrisy, the double standards, and the dangerous consequences of media-driven smear campaigns. And this time, he wasn't about to let them off the hook.
Appropriate to bury the Hunter Biden.
You're talking about the press doing that?
He's saying that's what they did, and that is what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election.
And we know for a fact that that's what they did?
Of course. You don't
but
follow
I mean,
this.
saying
You
know for a fact that that's what they did? I don't know what they did.
I know, because you only watch MSNBC.
No, that's not true.
Bill Maher calls out the media's double standards. Loud and clear, Bill Maher has had enough. The media's double standards are impossible to ignore, and Kaitlan Collins is right, at the center of it. For years, she and her colleagues have pushed a one-sided narrative, painting Biden as a saint and Trump as the ultimate villain. They're not just reporting the news, they're manufacturing it. Their obsession with keeping Democrats in power has fueled a relentless cycle of negative Trump coverage, twisting words, spinning headlines, and keeping the outrage machine running 24/7. But when the scandals hit their own side, silence. Take Hunter Biden, for example. His laptop exposed damning evidence of corruption, influence peddling, and shady foreign deals. And yet Collins and her crew buried the story like it never even happened. Now imagine if Donald Trump Jr. had even a fraction of Hunter's baggage. CNN would be running non-stop coverage for weeks, and that's exactly why Bill Maher snapped. He sees the hypocrisy. He knows this isn't just media bias, it's activism disguised as journalism. And this time he wasn't about to let them off easy.
There was what you'd have to call some sort of media suppression of Hunter Biden's computer right before the election.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Okay, and the truth is, I still don't know what I think about that. And sometimes,
right.
But I mean, to actually parse everything in there and figure out just how dirty Biden Sr. is as a result of the information there.
Can I go to step two? But nothing really. It was common. It was the kind of sort of everyday graft that's sleazy, but doesn't affect the world. Probably.
Yes.
Hunter Biden sold his father's influence to get money, but Joe Biden himself would not give away our nuclear secrets to the Chinese. He's not, he has a soft spot for his son, his ne'er-do-well, stupid.
I mean, you've heard his voicemails to his Hunter.
So, like, Dad, I'm in a little bit of a jam. Could you just meet with the Chinese guy next week? It would mean a lot to me. And Joe would do it, and then Hunter would get the money for the meeting.
Hunter Biden scandal exposes media hypocrisy. When the Hunter Biden scandal broke, things got ugly fast. Given his track record, we're probably lucky he didn't sweet-talk his dad into trading nuclear codes for a quick payday. Would anyone really be shocked? Hunter has sold access, influence, and who knows what else. Yet the media insists on shielding him, acting like he's just a guy with personal struggles. Meanwhile, Trump remains their ultimate villain. If Trump Jr. had even a fraction of Hunter's scandals, the media would demand his downfall. But when real corruption and shady deals surface around Hunter, silence. That's exactly why even Bill Maher, once a staunch liberal, is calling out the hypocrisy. This isn't journalism, it's propaganda. And Kaitlan Collins is leading the charge. So when she finally faced Maher in an interview, fireworks were expected. But no one was ready for this level of destruction.